Welcome to the Art of Manifesting with Gaya. Today we have a fabulous guest, Calleman. Carl was born on the day 5th Jaguar, May 15th, 1950 in Stockholm, Sweden, and after university studies there became a scientist with a focus on cancer research and environmental health. He gained a PhD in physical biology in 1984 and later became a senior researcher at the University of Washington in Seattle, as well as an expert for the WHO. He has given invited lectures ranging from the MIT to the Chinese Academy of Preventive Medicine. As early as in 1979, he however mentioned the approaching end of the Mayan calendar in a lecture. He has since become the only professional scientist to demonstrate that the evolution of biology, history, and consciousness reflects the Mayan calendar. This body of work has been presented in 3 internationally published books. As a world-renowned expert on the Mayan calendar, he has lectured in 20 countries on this topic and has collaborated with the Mayan elders and was at the beginning of the 9th wave of the Mayan calendar, honored by Mayan elders with a staff as recognition of his work to spread the Mayan knowledge to the modern world.
Now at the beginning of the 9th wave in March. And so there is an interesting, a growing interest, I think, in the Far East, in many corners, in what the Mayan calendar is. And I'm happy to have the chance to provide my own ideas about that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, could you tell us on what inspired you to really get into the journey of the Mayan calendar?
Well, it's, I believe, at least now, that it's sort of a mission that I was born with. But as with many missions, it takes a while until it's communicated to you from spirit, if you like. And it also only opens up in certain steps. If it were not for that fact, I think we would rush too quickly to sort of the fulfillment of our destinies. But we are meant, I believe, to go through certain learning processes and accumulate necessary prerequisites in order to deliver our missions. And so in that sense, it wasn't really that I just became, oh, that's an interesting thing. It is more like I had half of my life was various kind of preparatory things that I was focusing on. And the second half, you might say, I've been more or less aware of the fact that I've had a mission associated with the Mayan calendar. And you might say the triggering point here was a journey that I made in 1979. At the time, I was 29 years old, and I decided to go to Mexico. A little bit, I was just drawn there somehow. I saw, at the time, I was a graduate student at the University of Stockholm, and I saw on a bulletin board there that they advertised you could go to Mexico and you could live in a Mexican family and you could learn Spanish. And I thought that was, I don't know, I was just wanted to change from the test tubes, you might say, that I was working on most of the time then, and was drawn there, and I came there, and it sort of just unfolded. The very fact then that I came to meet people, Mayan people, Native Americans in Yucatan, in Guatemala, and the fact that I got to visit some of the pyramids, the magnificent pyramids outside of Mexico City, in the city called Teotihuacan, and also the equally spectacular ones in Chichen Itza in the Yucatan. that gave me some kind of, it resonated with something in my soul, you might say. It resonated with this mission that I think had already been born with. And at that time, through those 5 weeks of journeying through Mexico, experiencing its culture, not only the native culture, but all of its culture, because it's sort of it's a mestizo culture. It's a mixed European and the Native American culture, and that just made me aware that here, this is where I have my purpose. This is where I have my mission, and it didn't tell me exactly what it was, but I did, I did go back to Sweden, which is far away, and I remember coming from the heat in southern Mexico to the snow in Sweden, but I was bringing a lot of textiles and to hang on my walls in my home, and those patterns, which are patterned on the Mexican Mayan cosmology, they kept present to me the influence of some ancient culture that I had now been acquainted with. So that's really what you might say the triggering point when I actually became aware that I had some special mission linked to the Maya. Then it took another, I think, 13 years probably, or 14 years, until I actually started to do independent work to elucidate the Mayan calendar and make sense of it to modern people. Because the Mayan calendar, most people that are tourists in these areas, and we're talking about large groups of people. Chichen Itza in the Yucatan has 2.5 million visitors every year, and I don't know how many million tourists are coming to Cancun every year, and they will visit one of these sites, I'm sure. But the kind of explanation that they will receive from the tour guides, from the archaeologists, and so forth, they never make sense. It's just people come there and they're fascinated by what they see as the ancient cultures, but it's never really it's never really explained to them how important the Mayan calendar actually is for their own lives, and that it is a prophetic calendar that has a fundamental knowledge about human history and cosmic history, and that is not explained. And so my own mission, as I have understood it, is to make sense of this and present the calendar not just as some oddity or a curious, interesting thing, but something that is really fundamental for us to understand what life is about, what evolution is about, what the evolution of human civilization is all about, and present a broader picture of a cosmic plan that mandates that you have a basic knowledge of the Mayan calendar for us to understand this. So that's in short how my